Why, hello and welcome back to another episode of Voice of the Rings, a Lord of the Rings lore master. And today, my friends, I'm your host and guide, Zollin Ironshield, as always, and we're going to review the Comic-Con trailer of the Rings of Power and what Zollin's thoughts are on it. So sit tight, let's have some fun, grab a drink, relax, and hopefully you enjoy my little talk on what I like and dislike. So we're gonna go straight to the beginning like I've done with the last couple trailers and see how we got. I will have a link down there to the actual video here on the Prime YouTube channel here. So anyway, let's start right from the beginning here. So the first thing we have is, I must say, so the first thing about this, okay? So I've been on the line, right, with, I'm not in the boat of hater, I'm not in the boat of full endorser or anything of the new series yet, right? So I've kind of been on the line with it. I really don't want to have influence from other people. I want to take it in and I will analyze it in my mind and say what I like, don't like, or if I really like it altogether or don't really like it altogether, right? That's my goal, right? I want to be very fair-minded about that with my reviews and stuff when I do any reviews on any series or thing that is Lord of the Rings related on this channel. So I will say, the beginning, the music, we're still not getting Howard Shore's music, but the music was better in this trailer. I know I've been bragging on that in every video, but the music, there was a little, like, at the beginning, there's a song. Again, I don't want to get copyrighted this whole video. I'm advertising for them. I don't know if I want to be, but they are getting free advertising, right? Talking about it. But, we're just going to do the clips, so we're not going to actually watch the whole thing through. But again, you can go click on the link and watch it after the review or before, and pause this and come back, whatever you want to do. But there's some very generic lines in this whole series, like "we thought the war was at its end." Again, they're going to have the words right there, so you can at least see those as we go through the files. I mean, the clips. And the music was better. Now, I will say I have hope now, a little bit more, with this series from this new trailer. I felt like, it's funny that this song just came on, theme of Rohan, Hope. But this music you're hearing is from Lord of the Rings Online, by the way. Just throw that out there for people who might not know. Great music. But I'm really a lot more excited about this series now after watching this trailer. There's a couple things that didn't make me excited, and there's a couple things I'm definitely leaning more towards the, okay, this might be good, and there's a couple reasons why, especially for lore reasons, that they're not ruining some stuff, okay, so that they show us. So anyway, they show this Galadriel. I like the fact that she's in a dress here and she's not in a full getup of armor. That's one thing, because this makes me think Galadriel, because she's a powerful character without having to be this like warrior with a sword and armor. You know what I'm saying? Not that I'm against it. Her armor looks pretty cool, but I like the fact, because like in the one, you know, when she attacks Dol Guldur in The Hobbit, she's in a white dress, right? She just goes in there and she beats that crap out of Sauron and all that. And I love that part, right? But again, it took everything out of her then when she's even more powerful, right? When she's older. But so yeah. And again, she technically wouldn't probably be able to beat Sauron in a fight. She's a strong character, but Sauron, she is an elf, even though she's seen the light of Valinor. He is a Maiar, right? Sauron is like one of the angels, basically, if you're going to compare it to our real world. All right, so anyway, she has this helmet. She puts it on this mountain, and then we see this shot, okay? This shot's pretty cool. I'm not sure. It's right between like making me with like digitally, like it almost looks, they did a really good job. I can almost completely believe in my mind that it's a real shot, that there's no CGI. Almost. Can still tell there's CGI, but it's pretty darn well done altogether. Now this hill of helmets, apparently, I'm assuming they're elven helmets. Obviously a big war happened, and I am thinking now also, I keep doing this with my reviews. I already watched Nerd of the Rings review, and I usually have very similar opinions to him on things because I really liked his review too. But there are a couple things that I have different, that just a couple little things, not that I disagree with him on, but just I had different thoughts on. He was thinking that this is probably like probably not the battle, the really big battle, right, of a numbered tiers kind of thing. I think he's right. I don't think it's like the first stage battle as much, and then like the hill of like sadness where, you know, in the originals, we won't go into all that. But again, I don't think it is either, because this is just a pile of helmets. It's not a hill of bodies and, you know, sad in that story. So I'm assuming this is a different battle. Maybe it's not. Maybe that's what they used for the hill. I don't know. Maybe they didn't want to actually do a hill of bodies because that would be like scary for younger kids. I don't know. But so Prime Video, we're gonna skip through here. So now we get this one. Today are our days of peace, they say. Okay, this is Gil-galad talking, which is awesome because I really want Gil-galad to be a main character a lot. So I feel like from this trailer that they really are going to focus on the main characters are going to be Elrond and Galadriel, which is like, yes. Now granted, I would also like them to show more Isildur, right? And you know, the new, so they probably will, hopefully. But I like the fact that I believe this, my guess for this area was that it was Lindon, which is also what Nerd of the Rings Matt thinks, and a couple other people think that are reviewing these that I've seen, and I agree too. I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be Lindon, which is cool because it's a little different than Rivendell, but Lindon was a beautiful place. It's right near the Grey Havens, right? So that's really cool. And then we see a shot of Elrond watching something. Again, I like his pose. This is definitely an Elrond pose to me with his face. If I'm thinking like from the other actor who does Elrond, he does feel like the way the other actor portrayed Elrond, right? Our wonderful other Elrond actor, which is hard. I wish we could just have the same actors, but he is portraying it in a way that I feel like that's kind of how Elrond would act, right? Like, so that's pretty good. And then there's some event going on. They're like all these people are being crowned. I don't know, for like some achievement they did or something. Galadriel is obviously one of them. So that's kind of cool. I don't know what's going on there, but he's like, in times of peace, that's what he says, right? He crowns her with his flowery crown. Cool. Moving on. So now we see this shot of, I guess this is still at Lindon probably, or okay, here's my guess where this might be. I think this might be in Eregion, right? In the Elven area just outside of Moria, right? Because here's one of the Durins. Again, there's a little bit of an issue there with there being two Durins at once. They kind of seem like they pushed that out with the whole, like, they name the next Durin after a resurrection, kind of like they feel like they only name the next Durin until that one's dead kind of thing. But we'll let that one slide. And obviously here's Elrond. This is Gil-galad, and this one is Celeborn, right? The Smith? Or Celebrimbor, excuse me. This is Celebrimbor, because Celeborn is Galadriel's husband later. And this is Galadriel right here, I think. Possibly. I don't know who that is. But anyway, great shot. I'm kind of curious if this is one of the main characters too. I'm not sure with these other three characters, but it's a cool shot. And I think that's might be where I think it's his realm. This guy right here. I bet you they're here from Lindon. He's here from Moria, and this is Celebrimbor. That's my guess. This is an Eregion. That's my guess. But maybe not. Maybe this is Lindon. I don't know. But anyway, cool. Moving on. Now they say we thought our light would never dim. Now some people thought these were elves. It does look like they have elf ears, these kids, so I believe they are elves. See, she looks like she has little elf ears. Again, at first I thought these were human kids, and then I looked a little closer and I was like, oh no, it looks like they have elf ears. So again, these must be just little kids having fun, elves running around following their little water boat, right? So they're kind of laying down a foundation that there's peace. It's somewhere in the Second Age, right after all those big wars happened, and everyone thinks that, you know, Sauron and Morgoth are gone, and that kind of thing, right? So we thought our light would never dim. And then there's some interesting, these are obviously humans, and this is some kind of symbol. I have no idea what the symbol is supposed to be. It'd probably be something they're going to use in the series. Again, remember guys, there really isn't that much information about the Second Age. There is a lot to go on, so you can't just completely change the story, but there is going to be a lot of stuff they're going to have to add to make a really, like, to build a cohesive, like, multiple characters, like a TV series, right? So there are main characters that you could do just stuff on, right? like Elrond and Galadriel, and I really hope that they focus on the main characters, because that's going to make us all very disappointed if they don't do that. But it seems like they're going to do that, okay? So we'll keep going into that. So then we get another shot of those birds from the last trailer that we reviewed. I'm not going to worry about it too much. We got this guy, the skies are strange again. Again, we reviewed that last time. This spot, we reviewed this one in the other trailer. They showed us that in the other trailer. Then they showed this awesome shot of this tower and this city. So now my question is, at the time of this series when it starts, Gondor is not a thing yet. Because at first I would look at the city behind my picture here, back down here, and I would think maybe this is supposed to be Osgiliath, right? And what was the capital of Gondor. But I'm like, I don't think that's the right time frame. So this is probably in, I think this is possibly in like Umbar or Harad or something. Possibly, maybe this is in Numenor. This is what, Numenorian city? That could also be it, right? And that would also make sense if this was Numenor at the time frame, because then for this reveal, right? They reveal Galadriel with this, again, this is one of the queens, right? Of Numenor, I guess they're doing with that. Again, I almost thought this was like Harad, because again, I feel like her certain character, she doesn't really fit the descriptions of the Numenorians as much, but that's all right. We can let that slide, because she seemed like she fits the royal look. So that's good. So we'll see how that is. But anyway, it is here Galadriel, right? It's the Seeing Stones. It's a Palantir, which would make sense if there was one already in either in Harad, but realistically, my guess is in the time frame, this is probably in Numenor, because Numenor had a Seeing Stone too to talk back to Valinor and stuff. And yeah, so anyway, she gives Galadriel, she says something. Galadriel puts her hands on it, and then it starts doing this cracking effect. It's not the stone cracking. I think it's a vision in the stone making an icy cracking effect. I think it's an effect. And then we get a flashback that I don't think this is what she's seeing in the stone. I think they're cleverly kind of misconstruing what they're showing in this teaser. But this is obviously, I think this is the same battle that we saw at the beginning where she's piling the helmets. This is the same field because the trees look the same and there's explosions. And the weird thing is, one thing that Matt said was like, there's a lot of explosions, which I agree is a little weird for Middle Earth. There's a lot of explosions, but I have a feeling that these explosions are from catapults that have fire on them, because right here, see how it's exploding up? I think we see one fly through during this little spot. Let's see, ready? Keep an eye on. Okay, well, it didn't show it right there, but I feel like it shows it here in a second. So there's more explosion. I think those are fire catapults shooting, I believe, because I saw something in one of the clips real quick where I thought I saw a bolt come across the screen for a half second, like, you know, like a trebuchet or catapult shooting a firebolt. So I think that might be what those are from. Just maybe it's just orcs shooting fire catapults into everyone kind of thing. Then we get a shot of an orc real quick right there, right? Little orc really fast, kind of looking at us. That might have to do with that one other elf character they've created who got captured. That's my guess. It's a guess of some other people too, I guess. Now we see another fight that we saw in the original one, which is probably the same fight. And this is probably, I believe this is Galadriel's brother. I think that's what a lot of people are guessing and saying. I don't know if that's 100% confirmed at this moment, but I think it pretty much is. But they're fighting elves, and anyway, we all know that Galadriel is the only child left in her family, so that's kind of sad. They also get this. We get this clip again from last time, right? And again, does this have to do with the same battle that we see at the beginning? Is this another flashback to a worse war, right? To the War of Wrath or whatever that destroyed, Beleriand and just sunk it in the sea, and now Middle Earth is half the size, right? I don't know. And then we get a shot of this, where we get Galadriel basically crying a tear, and this is her brother. Now, something very interesting that Matt from Nerd of the Rings pointed out that I totally agreed on is that we know that her one brother, he died in Sauron's pits by werewolves, not wargs, werewolves. Okay, in the story. Now, some people say, oh, maybe they meant wargs. I mean, it could, but look at his scratches on his arm. That looks like claw marks to me, the way they do it. So right there, if that's how he died, they're following the lore very well. Okay, so that's already a big ding thumbs up for me. That's a big thumbs up for me. I'm like, okay, they're following the lore. That's good. With that, at least. He didn't die in some other way. Now she's avenging him, right? It would make more sense if she was hunting, if they do add something where she's like hunting, some, like trying to find Sauron to avenge her brother. It would make more sense if he did it the correct way and then they added that in, that she's like trying to search for him, right? Or whatever. But we'll see. And then we get her sadness. And then, of course, it says based on the works of J.R.R. Tolkien. I think it's very smart that they said based because, again, remember, this is based on it. They're going to be following some stuff, but a lot of stuff they're going to be adding in. So, again, we got to take it with a grain of salt, too, guys. We really do. Even if we like something about that they add, we don't like. I mean, Peter Jackson added stuff, too, but he had a little bit easier book series to go on that has a lot more detail. Again, not to say that Tolkien doesn't have detail in the Second Age. He has tons. But depending on how you're making the story, there's a lot of history where he's like, this happened over this amount of time, and this. It's like, okay, there's 40 years between these two things he just said, right? That's the kind of stuff that's like, there could be more. All right, so now we go into this, what we saw at the beginning, the white tree. Awesome. We actually get to see the white tree. It looks great, exciting. It's obviously in Numenor. This is one of the ancestors of the white tree we see in the Lord of the Rings movies, right? And Isildur is going to take one of its fruits to escape when Numenor gets wiped out because of their evil from the Kingsmen, right? But the faithful will take the fruit, including Isildur, which is why I don't like how Isildur is kind of portrayed as a bad guy in the Lord of the Rings. Yes, he does make a bad decision with the Ring of Power, but he did a lot of good in the Second Age. So hopefully we get more of he's a good character in the Second Age. He's the one that stays true to the Valen, to the Maiar and stuff, and in Iluvatar, he doesn't turn to worship Morgoth like everyone else does. Evil does not sleep. Again, maybe the tree leaves start falling because at this time, already people in Numenor are starting to worship Morgoth. I don't know. Or maybe we're not even going to get Sauron this season. Like, because I already heard someone say that they don't think Sauron's going to be in the first season, which is interesting. But then we get this character, okay? He's very, I don't know what's going on with this character. It's, I don't know. I can't even tell. Here's the thing I have about this character, okay? Very scary, very ominous with its scary white. It waits, like the evil waits. So this character right here, some people are guessing it might be Sauron's fair form, Iluvatar, but from the shots we see in this trailer, I really don't feel like this is a good Iluvatar. I was sorry, not Iluvatar, excuse me. Wait, right? Sauron's other name. Oh my gosh, I can't think of it right now. It's Alatar? Is that it? No, I'm thinking of, is that that's the dinosaur from the other thing. Anyway, not Iluvatar, excuse me. That's the god of the world. No. Sauron's fair form, basically. Anatar. That's the name. There it is. Anatar. I don't think so. I mean, it could be, but I feel like this is more likely a corrupted person that's serving Sauron. And he's being very deceptive. That's what I feel like more. Because I really don't think this is a good pick if this is Sauron's fair form that tricked everyone and made everyone like him. Well, I don't know about this as a fair form. I don't know. That's just my opinion on it. Maybe that is supposed to be Sauron. I don't know. So that's my guess on that. Anyway, then we get a shot of doors opening with some person. It looks like almost a dwarf right here opening the doors. Cool. And then we get this shot again from last time with Khazad-dûm. But then we get a new shot. So we got this one last time. Then we get a new shot of this beautiful view. Look at the background of Khazad-dûm there. So this is obviously the throne of the older Durin, right? The father. Again, having two Durins at once is a little controversial with the lore, but I can let that slide. There's a couple things about the dwarves with the lore that I can possibly let slide if it's really well done and they still feel like the dwarves. Now, something to bury us all beneath the mountain. All right. This crown. Okay, so I've thought about this since the last trailer. It just seems kind of, it doesn't feel very Tolkien Dwarven to me. It seems too rigid and like rusty, unless it's like an heirloom of the dwarves, like it's like a crown they've had since the first Durin, so like he wears it even though they have all this gold. But like I kind of feel like he should have a fancier crown if he's the king of Khazad-dûm, one of the richest things since Erebor, like before Erebor. I think he should probably have a better crown. But again, you could say, well, maybe he had it's the original crown from an heirloom all the way since Durin the First, the Deathless. But it's like, I don't know about that, because I feel like Durin the First probably had pretty good riches too in Gundabad when it was the Dwarven lands. So yeah, I'm not sure about the crown. I'm not sure. But anyway, I like his character though. I like how he looks. I like how he sounds. Pretty cool. And then his son, right? The other Durin, the third and fourth, I guess is what they're supposed to be. Again, they're alive at the same time, kind of, but he seems upset about something they're talking about. And then they get this shot of, I believe this is Galadriel, and she's like waking up from an explosion. No idea what's going on here. He has not one name, but many. And again, I'm assuming they're talking about Sauron, right? With these things they're saying. And then we get this really awesome shot of this fortress. Okay, I'm down. I love this fortress. Okay, this is amazing. Now there's many things this could be. This could be like, I was thinking, could it be Cardoom? Maybe like the Witch King's realm, and but that was more of the Witch King's realm. I have a feeling that was a little bit later. Could be Cardoom, but I think this might actually be more of a fortress that's up in the far wastes of the north. That was Nerd of the Rings was saying it was one of the fortresses of Morgoth's original fortress before he's imprisoned up in the north. I think that could be a possibility because seems really far north. But again, we'll see what it is, but it looks epic. It's such a bad guy fortress, and I like that it's very, even though it feels like that tall spiry look, it's very unique. Like I haven't seen a fortress that looks exactly like this. Like there's some that are similar in other fantasies and genres, but not exactly like this. So this is really cool. I really like this fortress. I love the sound effects they have. And then we see this weird effect happen, this ice effect happen on this thing. It's very interesting. Now, I was looking at this and I'm like, is this an eye? Like, is this an eye of Sauron? Is it not? Are they trying to trick us? It's also what Nerd of the Rings thought. Again, I keep comparing things that I thought the same with that Matt thought on his video. This is a really good one. Part. This kid is, I'm assuming he grabs his arm and he says, "Have you heard of him, lad?" Right, this guy. And again, this kid, I believe, is from Harad, right? I think. He's like, "Have you heard of Sauron?" He says, this guy. And again, this guy doesn't look like he's from Harad. So maybe this is a Númenórean port. Maybe one of these people are a slave. Maybe. I hope they don't. I don't want to go into slavery too much. It doesn't look like he has. They don't look like they have any chains on though. So I think he just might be a crazy old guy. You know what I'm saying? Just for the effect. And he pulls away his arm. And then we flash to this other one. That other girl who's the woman human who apparently has the relationship with the elf. So we'll see how that works. But she's hiding. And then we get really cool epic part where basically this hand comes in, and I'm assuming this is an orc or some kind of, or maybe a Nazgul. Like, could be. The Nazgul should technically not be around yet, but so probably be an orc or some kind of evil servant. Now look at this. Look at these fingers. Look at here. I'll just play the finger part. Ready? So scary. Anyway, epic. And I do like the fact that they're pointing, I'm going to point this out because also Matt pointed this out, and I agree heartily with this, with the review of my review, is that they're doing real effects for orcs. They're not CGI'd like they did in The Hobbit, and they're so good. Oh, they're so good, you guys. So excited about that. So let's keep going here. So the legend discovered. All right, discover the legend. Okay, all right, your generic movie terms. Now this is kind of cool. So here's the broken sword we saw on the teaser posters and stuff, right? Well, the interesting part is he's holding it. I think it's the same kid, and it reforms. I have a feeling this is a Morgul dagger, which is an interesting idea that it would form on its own. So why is it forming on its own? So they're gonna have to explain that, right? But I'm fine with that. That seems like a fun little addition to the story. Forge the rings, okay? If evil rising is left unchecked, it will take us all. So here's a cool spot. They basically, I think they entered the fortress we saw, right? So they entered the fortress we saw. And basically there's this anvil with, again, the frozen thing on it. And again, it could be like a symbol. It's also a symbol on the sword that turns into Morgul blade. I have a feeling it's either some evil symbol for one of the evil factions, right? In Middle-earth, or it's like the Eye of Sauron as a tie-in. I don't know. No idea. So then these guys are getting already, these elves, and they get a thing hurled at them, and it explodes in front of them, hits them. It's like, oh, ouch, they got hit by that thing, right? But then we got another shot, and they show basically this is either Umbar or Numenor or something, but it's one of the Numenorian ships, it looks like, getting exploded, as you'd say. And apparently people have been saying that these people are one of these is Isildur, and then his friend, and a couple other people. But again, we don't know for sure, but that's some guesses from I've heard people say. But anyway, moving on. Yeah, but it's really cool. I like the structure up here, though. Look at this. Really cool. Again, a lot of explosion effects, but I don't know what would be exploding the ship. Are they being attacked? I was almost thinking when I first saw this is the kinslaying of the elves when they burn all their ships, but these definitely look like humans, so it's probably Numenor or Umbar. Find the light, and the shadow will not find you. Anyway, very corny saying there, but these are the two. These are both made-up characters for the show. Maybe they'll be great. Maybe they won't be. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see. I do like there's a very big variety of characters, and then we see this person walking with the scary gauntlets, and it's the same gauntlets as the ones we see in the teaser posters, which is very interesting. But I like the fact that hopefully we're going to actually see, again, we want to see Sauron, obviously, but he needs to have other bad guys under him, and we don't talk about that many bad guys under him as lieutenants, except for the orcs in The Lord of the Rings and the Ringwraiths, right? But what about the Second Age? He's got to be gathering forces. How is he going to delegate commands to his orcs if he doesn't have other lieutenants and commanders and evil generals and stuff, right? So that's what this is. Again, it is interesting to me how all of these are orcs. They're all covered up. There's a very interesting point about that also Matt mentioned as well, but a lot of people are mentioning, is the fact that you remember in The Lord of the Rings, the Uruk-hai, it's such a big thing because the Uruk-hai can go in the sunlight. Normal orcs can't. They get burned, they get hurt. So that's why they have all these weird helmets and bones they're wearing and like overcovers and stuff. It's really scary, like cultist look anyway. And they're all bowing to whoever this guy is. But that's obviously makes sense because they protect themselves from the sunlight, right? So that's kind of cool. Together we can survive this, or something they say. Really cool shot. Okay, this Numenorian's get up seems more of an indoor soldier just standing there. I really love the shield. I love the helmet. The shoulder pads are fine. I noticed that the spear looks excellent. I like the blue capes. I love the golden blue too. It's funny because a couple other people said it too. I know Matt said that he loved the gold blue. I also love the colors gold and blue. So I'm really a big fan of that. I love this gold disc over here on the sides. The effects on the walls are amazing. They look really, really good. Like all the work they put into the stage props. Woo! They look great. So I'm really enjoying that. I don't know about his leather, like this just studs and like, it's okay. It looks a little not that great, the leather. That's the only thing I didn't like about their get-ups. I wasn't sure about that as much. Again, it's an indoor, probably just leather clothing they're wearing because they're just guarding indoors, so they're probably not expecting to be attacked, but still, yeah. And then we got these two characters again. Together we can survive this. Okay, all right, well, I don't know. We'll see about this character. I just... With made-up characters like this, I'm just always worried, how are they going to portray them? How are they going to make them act? Is she going to actually be an inspiring leader? Is she going to be really annoying? And same thing with this character. We'll see. We'll see what they do. Again, and I don't care. That goes for whether it's a girl or a guy. I don't want an annoying character leading as a guy either. They have to play it right. And then this guy holds up a sword. It's like, okay, well, it's a sword. It's probably going to be new prop replica we can get for United Cutlery. We'll review that on the channel in the future. And then we get this part again. I'm curious now if this part is actually not... A lot of people are saying, and like Matt was thinking, it's like the Oath of Feanor, which I think that's a really good guess. But I think it also could be, maybe it's just the guys that joined Galadriel in trying to find like Sauron, which maybe is like the added part of the series, right? That's not going to be from the books. It's going to be like their own part added in. So we'll see. We'll see which one it is, but it's a cool part. And then Galadriel says, "Fight with me." I love this shot. She's obviously at Numenor. Look up there. It definitely looks like Numenor. These are Numenorian soldiers with their armor. And I want a little bit closer shot of their armor. I looked again from this angle with their armor, and I actually like it a lot better. I really like how the scales are incorporated with the helmet. And then they've got like the tassel of hair thing like the Rohirrim kind of had, which is interesting. But their armor actually looks, unfortunately, I'm kind of covering it up a little bit, but here's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna do this for a second so you can see it better. So it actually is a lot not better from this angle. Again, in the books, they describe their armor like fish scales, but I'm not quite sure about the color scheme. It makes it feel kind of fake with the armor, but I like the ring holding it, and the little more definition here, and then this like plate that he has on his arm like for fighting, and then his sword looks kind of cool. It's like a curved sword edge there, like the handle. So we'll see again, we'll see how it looks when they're moving and fighting a lot. We haven't seen a lot, but then Galadriel and someone hold hands and agree on some pact. Maybe it's Isildur, I don't know. And then we get that other elf, the new guy. I keep forgetting his name. Sorry. I'll have to watch it more to get it. But again, he's not an original character. He's a made-up one for the series. He kicks off some stuff. This is apparently his tower gets attacked by orcs. They shoot down some rocks and knock a bunch of orcs off the wall that are climbing the wall. Yay. Now we get this shot. So this is back to that one person. She looks to be holding a child. It looks like she's holding a child. The way she's holding her hands, this looks like it's a child for sure. Now here again, here's the plate armor, and I will say the blue plate armor looks a lot better. Now again, this is formal attire, right? So for her queenly duties or whatever, looks a lot better. Like that looks really cool. I kind of wish that the other guys had blue armor, and I would have like probably let it slide a little more, right? Also, her pendant is crazy, the brooch thing, and then her crown. I like that she's like really fancy with these crazy gold and stuff, because the Numenorians were really wealthy and they really like to kind of show off that wealth. So that makes sense. Again, when I see her here, again, I feel like she could be a good character, that she's like a married in queen, where like maybe her mother was married in, right, from Umbar Harad, and that's why she has almost a mix, because she looks like kind of her skin's kind of fair but yet still darker. So like maybe her father is like was one of the Numenorian kings, and her mother is from Harad, was married in, or vice versa, right? I think that could be very interesting. Or maybe they just picked her as the character of the Numenor queen. That's fine too. But I think that would be a cool tie-in if they did that, where it's like, oh well, this previous king married this person from Harad to make more peace between the countries. That would be cool. I think that'd be a cool idea. But anyway, she's got a queen. Each must be decided what they shall be. And then, but again, I really like the armor. It's really cool. So, and this character's starting to grow on me, like even just in the trailers. But let's see how she acts in the movies. That's what really determines for me for each character. How do they act? What lines do they give them, right? That's what really matters. Now we get this shot. All right, there's a lot in this shot, okay? So we get more female dwarves and male dwarves, and if you notice, all the female dwarves don't have beards. So they're going with female dwarves don't have beards. I'm gonna do a lore video about should dwarf females have beards or not in the future. So keep on the same playlist, so keep a lookout for that. But here's the thing. Here's the thing, guys. I can let it slide. I know that sounds like heresy coming from Zollin Ironshield with dwarves, right? It sounds pretty bad. But I can let it slide if the dwarves still all feel like the Dwarven Kingdom to me. All right. And I think the reason for this is I've actually had some family members say this, and I'm saying this with all kindness to everyone in view of life and everything. But you know how there's been a lot of stuff associated with old, like, like the bearded woman from like different things back in the medieval era and stuff with like what are they called, circuses and stuff, right? And like cross-dressing and stuff. And I think maybe what they are afraid of with the Amazon series is to feel like the dwarves are like, people get confused and think they're like cross-dressers or something, and they're all dwarf men. I kind of think that's what they're worried about. And in that area, I agree, because I think I disagree with that kind of stuff, in my opinion, right? With cross-dressing is what I disagree with. But again, that everyone's own point of view, but that's my view of life. But my point is, though, my one family member said that might be the reason they're doing that, because they're afraid that the greater audience who don't know the lore of dwarves will find that weird or something. So, and they want to make it easier for people to understand in our cultures, right around the world of our cultures, what's a female dwarf, what's a male dwarf. Maybe that's what they're trying to do, right? I mean, maybe that's their goal. Again, take that all with a grain of salt, because realistically, if you look at Tolkien's lore, I've had some people say, oh, well, Tolkien never specifically said that dwarf females have beards. Well, he actually does have a line that says all dwarf kinds, would be caught dead without a beard. Kind means female, male, and male. But anyway, I'll do a lore video on that later. And it's really not, it's kind of it's become a little controversial. And again, I don't want that to be a controversial thing. Realistically, I am fine with if they do the series. I won't bother me that much. But like, for example, Lord of the Rings Online, the dwarf females, they have beards. That's great, right? That's really what I think Tolkien meant. And that's why, again, in Peter Jackson's adaptation, when Gimli has the conversation with Éowyn, right, about the, oh, you can't even tell them apart because they have beards too, kind of thing. Everyone thinks dwarves pop out of holes in the ground. That actual conversation isn't actually in the books in Lord of the Rings, but there are other things where Peter Jackson got that information from Tolkien's writings that he thought that would be acceptable, because that is what Tolkien seemed to have hinted at, that female dwarves all had beards, and it seems pretty solid that they did. But again, it is an area where I am willing to allow it to slide, because these dwarf guys definitely look excellent. Now, it is kind of weird to me how a lot of the dwarf men have these prosthetics, like big nose, like looking more like dwarves, and it looks like a lot of the dwarf women don't have that here. All 5 of the dwarf women I see here don't have that. I'm not sure about that. I think that the dwarf women, I know that they're trying to make them look a little bit more attractive to us, but again, these are dwarves. We're humans, right? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like the same thing where they did Keely and Tariel, right? And Legolas triangle thing. It's like, as long as there's no love triangles and rings to power, that'll make me very happy. But again, I like the hairstyle of this one over here with the big hair. I like that she has big hair. I like that that a lot of them are rather plump. I'm not going to use certain words because YouTube might freak out at me. But I think that's probably realistic, because a lot of the dwarf men are also plump and very muscular, right? It just kind of seems dwarves are very stout, big, strong, very durable, right? So yeah. And again, these two I think are actually the least dwarf looking in the back too here. I guess she can pass on the left. This one definitely feels like dwarven to me, the way she looks. Again, their name for this main character, whatever, isn't quite as great. I really hope this, guys, when it comes to her, I really hope that she's from a different clan and she's married in. Because it would make so much more sense why she has dark skin and everyone else has light skin in the Durin's folk if she's from one of the other dwarven clans. Guys, there's 7 dwarven clans. It'd be very easy to say, oh, she's from the blah, blah, blah Ironfoot clan that live in the Eastern Mountains past Rune, or live in Mordor, right? Like, it would be so easy to be like, she married in because they wanted to tie closer to the clans. Perfect. Great explanation. Beautiful. Perfect. If they say, no, she's just one of Durin's line, I'm gonna be like, what? Do you see all these other people around? Who did she marry? you know what I'm saying? Like, again, I don't want to say the word on YouTube because it'll go crazy. but I don't. They need to think about these things. They need to be thought about, because the bottom line is there's different groups, and there's nothing wrong with people marrying in who look different. That's fine. But you can't just say genetically that someone suddenly has a totally different looking hair color or skin color or something for nothing. Unless there's some reoccurring genetic gene back in the past, which is a possibility, of course. But it's just very rare, especially when they live underground most of the time. So if she's from another clan that maybe lives outside more, and like they've grown to have more melatonin in their skin, which all that is, guys, by the way, it's just melatonin. That's the only difference, right? Yeah. So anyway, I'll stop ragging and talking about that. I've gone too long on this already. But again, the beard thing is the big issue when it comes to the lore. So there's really three main things with the dwarves for me. It's the two Durns being alive at the same time. Kind of takes away from the lore, but I'll let that slide because I don't think that's an end all for the dwarves, if the dwarves feel true to dwarves. The girls not having beards, as long as their hair is really big and they have the dwarven look. Again, I'm kind of, some of these sort of look like dwarves, I guess, but they don't have any prosthetics on their face to make them look like more like bigger noses stuff. Of course, this guy doesn't either, but some of them do. Like this guy obviously does. This guy obviously does. This guy obviously does. And then obviously, like, again, I don't mind if she's married in, but it doesn't really make sense otherwise why she'd have that much melatonin in her skin as a Durin's line, because the Durin's line are very, very Norse. It's very obvious what Tolkien says, right, of their background, and that matters when you're picking characters, if you're following the story plots and the lore of the characters. Again, it doesn't matter if she's married in from another Dwarven clan. You could totally do that. Tolkien never told us about all the other Dwarven clans. Okay, so like, it'd make total sense to me. It'd be a total easy way to cause that to be not an issue to all Tolkien fans, and we'll be like, oh, okay, sure, that works. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's perfect. It'd be perfect. So then he holds up Mithril. Each of us must decide or something. That's we saw that last time. Then we see a shot of them again. This is the double love story like we see with Aragorn and Arwen, right, from Tolkien's lore. Again, this one is made up by the series, right? And then we have, you know, Beren and Luthien, right? And Tunenbar and the other one too. But we'll see how this works out. We'll see. I mean, I have to see it to know if this is going to be like or like, oh, it's pretty good. It's pretty sweet. You know what I mean? Like, we have to see it to know, right? Again, I don't know what elves, again, when it comes to, I don't want to go into this any more than because it's tiring. It's a little bit like, because I don't want to say something that causes YouTube to freak out on us. Everybody knows that I really don't care the creed, background, or anything on this channel. Everyone is welcome on this channel. And I think it's really stupid how much goes into the pigment in our skin in our world, because we're all humans and everyone's the same, right? Same thing for even the fantasy stuff. But I also don't like it when they change things in a story when it doesn't need to be changed. So we'll see how this character goes. We'll see. But like, I don't know how many elves are. I mean, I guess there could be elves from some parts of the world. Maybe if he's from the far south, he's from Harad, and there's elves that have lived there for a long time. And remember, they do still have children, even though the older ones live longer. So it would make sense that their children might start getting more pigment in their skin to protect them from the sun. I mean, that's natural. That's the only difference. That's why we have different skin colors in our actual world too, right? But yeah, so anyway, I actually think genes and stuff are a really cool subject, but we won't go into that anymore. But again, we'll see if that character's any good. Again, I really don't freaking give a crap when it comes to what I just said about colors and stuff. But what I do care about is if the character is a good character and they give him good lines and he makes sense. That's what I care about. All right, so moving on. Again, I absolutely love everybody of every color, and I have friends from every creed, background, color of hair, skin, eyes you can think of in my life. So I am a very well-rounded in that area. Most people are. Really, I will say most people really are. That's really a lot less of an issue in the last 15, 20 years than it was, 70 years ago. 70. Each of us must decide who shall fight be. All right, so here's a battle. This actually looks pretty cool. It looks like these are all real riders, and I feel like the rest are probably animated. Maybe they're all real. I don't know. This is definitely New Zealand, which is fantastic. It looks epic and awesome. Galadriel's riding with another leader. These are all Numenorians. Again, maybe the armor will grow on me, but I think the chest pieces kind of don't look quite as great. The helmets look great. The spears look great. The shoulders I'm fine with. It just seems like the chest pieces, they could have been a different color or something. I don't know. We'll see, but maybe that'll fit for what they're trying to do. Again, the whole warrior princess thing, it might be fine if how they portray it. I'd be okay with it. Her armor actually, I kind of like the star in the middle. I think it's pretty cool. And her armor is very like French, like the 1660s, like from what I've seen and a lot of works. So like with that like coming in the bust, and then and also how it's bumped out on the chest. Like it's very cool to actually look at the different armors that were created for females with that in mind through history. It's very interesting. It's very cool. And of course, you know, the Romans, you know, and the Greeks, how they did their armor to make it look like it was rippling muscles. I always thought that was hilarious. But like, that's a very real thing. They did do that. And then we see a thing of orcs running through the forest. Running they go as fast as they go. I think they're probably chasing that elf. Again, I can't remember his name right now. Okay, this one I'm really excited about. Okay, this next part, you ready? This one. All right, so they show her swimming from that shipwreck, and they show this, okay, in the water. It's a sea serpent, a monster or something. It's huge. I love it. I absolutely love it. There's nothing wrong with this being put into the story, and there is a quick mention of that there are sea serpents in the Lord of the Rings lore from Tolkien, and that they were a breed of dragon. So that sea serpent, I'm totally down. I'm hooked. I already love it. I love it. That really got me. I'm really excited about that. It looks really, really cool. And let's just look at the animation here of the sea serpent. Oh, it's so cool. Oh man, I already know I'm gonna like that part, even if it's made up. And then we get a part here where it's they show a little bit of Numenor. Again, the gold and the blue look great. Their armor, again, I'm just not really a super big fan. I like the scales part of it, but the color just, it makes it look kind of like cheap or something, the way they use the color. But who knows, maybe it'll grow on us and it'll look good with the rest, because it does match their like stonework of their buildings. Maybe they're supposed to blend in, you know, be less of a target. I don't know. And they show a little bit of drum work, walking, and then they show Durin in some legitly cool armor. He's got a really cool like metal copper chest plate things with like a cloak over him. Great beard. I really like this. I really like this character. I hope he acts as a good character, because I love how he looks. Great character in that way. And then he says halt with his troops behind him. And again, here's the helmet again that looks very cool with like it's like a beard covering helmet that covers the beard, which is in the lore that Tolkien talks about. So I love that. It looks epic. It's awesome. I'm a huge fan of that. These dwarves all look awesome. That axe looks very cool behind him. Super excited about the dwarves. Then we get everything one must break surely. And we get the shot again of Meteor Man. And it's, of course, it's the Hobbit girl trying to help him. I don't know. I don't know what to think about that. Let's just move on. I don't want to even talk about it. So that's the stuff that doesn't really get my hopes up. This spot right here is, now here's this elf guy. I actually like this part. I love that he like pulls himself through, because you know how Legolas is like really light and can like walk on snow and all these things. I like the fact that he just is like able to just pull himself to like attack this. I believe it's an orc. Like again, the slow-mo, hopefully the slow-mo doesn't get too much, because too much slow-mo can be bad, but that's actually kind of cool. I liked how they did that right there. And again, maybe these people are like breaking free of being in captive by the orcs, or they're attacking the orcs, because he looks like he's still chained like in the other one. And again, these are orcs covered up because it's sunlight, Sunday, right? Like, it's not Sunday, it's a sunny day, right? But so these are obviously orcs. And then we get another spot here. He's getting pushed off the cliff. It's like, oh no. And then they show this orc laughing at him with their cover up from the sun again. No idea. And then they see this village, right? This is the same village. There's an explosion happening that Galadriel woke up from it when she was covered in soot, and it looks like she's like bracing to die or get hit by something here. And then that's where she woke up, and she obviously survived whatever it was, right? And everyone else died, supposedly, right? That they showed that. And now we see Scary Boy again, or creepy whatever this guy or person is, or creature. He blows on his staff. He's obviously has magical powers. Could be, again, it could be Sauron's fair form. I don't think, it doesn't really, I don't know, maybe it is. I feel like Sauron should be more fair, more like you could walk up and talk to him, less like, oh, that guy's kind of creepy. You know what I'm saying? But he says something about you've been told many lies of Middle Earth, and then he blows this leaf. Again, it would make sense that Sauron lies, right? And to confuse people, say many lies, but it could also easily be another lieutenant of Sauron, some other magic person under Sauron, maybe another Maiar, maybe one of his servants, evil servants. Again, some people are thinking maybe this is one of the forms of one of the Balrogs in human form, because remember, the Balrogs are just corrupted Maiar like Gandalf, right? So, and Sauron technically is that too, but Sauron's just a lot older and been trained by Morgoth. I think he's older, but he's at least scarier. The leaf falls, starts on fire when he says that. Boom, boom, boom. And then we get, again, this character, which is actually a pretty cool shot. He's really sweaty, which is crazy, or he's wet. Maybe he's been fighting in something else. And then he's obviously trying to fight that character. At least they're making us think that in the trailer. Maybe it's not. And then what happens is, this is a cool part. So it's kind of hard to see, but he gets grabbed by, it looks like a tree arm, and pulled in. Now my guess is that obviously we already know there's probably going to be Ents. My guess it's probably an Ent, and it's probably helping him. Probably grabs him and makes him hide and maybe fights for him. I don't know. Who knows what happens with that? That would be kind of cool if he's like backed to a corner by this really evil, monstrous character, which is that guy that's all white or whatever. Which again, it'd be cool to have some more lieutenants. I kind of hope it's not Sauron, because I don't really like how he looks as the fair form of Sauron. I kind of hope it's some other lieutenant or some creepy leader who has magical powers or something, right? Some evil sorcerer or necromancer or lich or whatever you want to say. Not a lich. There's not really liches in Lord of the Rings. But anything else, right? It could be. Or maybe a form of a Balrog. A fair form of a Balrog, maybe. But anyway, he gets pulled away. Maybe the Ent helps him, right? Maybe that's it. And then it says the Rings of Power. And then we have a little hop back here, Prime. And then we get the shot at the end of a Balrog. And here's why I'm really excited, you guys, okay? So again, they obviously got the rights from... I mean, they probably got the rights from New Line Cinema, because that Balrog looks awfully similar to the Balrog we see in the other one. But here's the cool thing. You can see his arms and legs are fire, but look, he has no physical wings. And I know a lot of people don't think in the lore that they meant physical wings. They meant like a smoke when Tolkien talks about it. And look, he has like a smoke around him, like that look like wings. So that is following the lore very accurately if there really is no wings on this guy. Right, and it's more just like smoke that envelops him like wings. That's following the lore. They obviously listened to people who didn't like that about the Peter Jackson adaptation. So that kind of gives me some hope that they are thinking about lore things in that way, even little things like the difference between wings and not wings. Now, granted, in my personal opinion, I think the difference between not having beards and having beards is a much bigger distinction in Tolkien's works than having wings and not having physical wings as a Balrog. But that's my own personal view on that. Again, you can take it with a grain of salt, of course. Don't feel like I'm attacking anyone else's views. But my friends, what do you think? Are you excited more about the series? I am. I definitely was excited more about this series than I wasn't, if that makes sense. So I was definitely more excited after watching this than I was previously from the previous teasers. So go ahead and tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Please keep it civil. Don't battle each other. Because again, this isn't important enough for us Tolkien fans to be fighting over. It really isn't. We either like it, we enjoy it, we say what we like. We don't like it, we say what we don't like. And people who might like some things and dislike others in the middle, or people who really love it and people who don't like it. We can still all be Tolkien lovers. Again, this is an adaptation, you guys. Just, it's a bummer if they don't follow things perfectly. But again, remember, there's always a chance that there'll be another one made in the future of the same kind of stories from the Silmarillion. Who knows, right? So anyway, but again, I have hope this will be good. I'm hoping it will be. You guys have a wonderful day in Middle-earth. Thank you to my patrons for making this channel possible and helping support the channel. And if you guys want to subscribe, if you want, I do all Lord of the Rings content. I do reviews, I do voiceovers and Lotro, I do all sorts of other Lord of the Rings content and games. So check them all out. Subscribe button's there. Next episode will be up there for my lore playlist, and a Lotro Tailmade content's over there, over that Prime button. All right, you guys have a good one. And again, I was not sponsored at all to review this. This was personally just for fun, for you guys to hear Zollin Ironshield's thoughts and Voice of the Rings thoughts on the Rings of Power new Comic-Con trailer. Have a great day in Comic-Con, excuse me. Have a great day in Middle-earth, my friends. See you in the next episode of Voice of the Rings.